What's going on, everyone? Happy Sunday. Hopefully everyone is doing well, staying safe, and having a great day so far. It is time now for the Sunday weather update for Sunday, November 3rd, 2024. If you're new to my channel, this is where I do the daily weather update on all things weather for the United States. And of course, we take a look at extreme weather, the tropics, severe weather, and the forecast for the next 7 to 10 days. Today we're going to be talking about severe weather in the central states with the potential for more tornadoes, flooding, and a tropical threat that is going to enter the Gulf this week, and of course a 7 to 10 day forecast, which will include the election day forecast for the United States. So if you're new to my channel, subscribe down below. Hit that thumbs up button. The more people that hit that, the more YouTube's going to push out this content. Let's try for 20 like button hits today. Share this video with anyone you know. Hit the notification bell and leave your comments down below. Already, yesterday in portions of Texas, New Mexico, and Oklahoma, it proved to be just as stormy as expected. And in fact, I think the HER model yesterday did a really good job because it was showing some discrete supercells out ahead of the squall line in Oklahoma. And just that did happen. In fact, these severe storms caused many to lose power, and the tornadoes got pretty significant last night. In fact, it damaged up to about 14 homes, and at least 5, if not 6 people were injured from these storms because power lines were down, trees came down. Yes, it left a trail of destruction, as it says in this article. Taking a look now at the national satellite picture, all is quiet in the east, but you do see our active weather pattern, which continues as I expected last weekend. I remember precisely last Sunday, I was talking about how this will eventually become a thing, and here we are. It did happen, and it is still happening. It's going to happen for a couple more days. We can see here that there are clouds across Texas. We can see some higher cloud tops starting to form, which means thunderstorm activity is starting to increase once again. You also see a little bit quieter on the west coast. That is actually not going to last, at least for the Pacific Northwest. Southern California, you're going to remain quiet, and Florida, maybe a few showers for you. Taking a look at what's going on now with the radar picture, we can see here there is some rain headed into the Great Lakes and the Midwest, but down in Texas, take a look at this. Thunderstorms are already starting to form once again, and I did just see, it looks like there is already a severe thunderstorm watch that is up for portions of Texas, and there are still some thunderstorms moving just to the north of the Oklahoma City area. Out in Arizona and New Mexico, we do see another piece of energy already, which is providing some rain at this time, and not too much going on the west coast at this time, at least for now. Taking a look at the national hazards map, we do see there's that severe thunderstorm watch that just went off for portions of central Texas and portions of Oklahoma. A flood watch continues for many areas within Arkansas, Oklahoma, portions of Missouri, portions of Kansas, where there already has been some flash flooding. You can see there are some flash flood warnings right now. In the mountainous regions of the Four Corners, there is the potential for some snow with that precipitation that is falling today, and there is also the potential for some snow across portions of Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, and Washington. Windy conditions today in California. There could be gusts in some places, 30, 40, maybe even 50 mile per hour gusts are being expected there today. In the Northeast, while it is quiet, any breeze that occurs could enhance the fire risk. You're not seeing red flag warnings, but please consider there to be a risk for fires today. There is a fire going on in the Lehigh Valley Gap region, which is just east of the Lehigh Tunnel up in the southern portions of the Poconos. Yes, there was a fire that started last night. Last I saw, it is still ongoing, so wildfires continue to be an issue there. All is quiet right now in Florida and the Gulf Coast, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. Like I said, there is a tropical threat. More on that in just a moment. And you know what? Actually, let's take a look at that now. And here it is. You can see here, our Invest 97L is now up to 90% chance of formation in the next 7 days. And if we switch this to, actually no, this is now 90% chance in the next 48 hours and 7 days on the latest update as of 1 p.m., which just came in. So it's likely we're going to get a tropical disturbance soon, and it could gain the name Raphael within the next couple of days. All right, taking a look at the Storm Prediction Center, we'll take a look at the tropical models in just a little bit. I have to show you this because take a look at this. There were 39 severe storm reports yesterday, 5 tornadoes, 21 wind, 4 high wind reports, 13 hail reports, and 4 large hail reports, which that is relatively impressive. And that one tornado did come in the evening hours yesterday. I believe it was dark when it hit yesterday. Taking a look at the Storm Prediction Center forecast, this just in, there was an upgrade today to an enhanced risk across portions of Texas and Oklahoma. There is now a 10% chance of a tornado, 5% surrounding, 2% surrounding that, and wind probabilities in that enhanced risk are now up to 30%, with 15% surrounding that. Taking a look at the hail probabilities, just to the northwest of the enhanced risk, there is a hatched 15% area for hail, but it does not stop there. Tomorrow, on Monday, another enhanced risk for severe weather, and this one actually gets even more impressive, because take a look. There is actually a hatched 10% tornado area. Yes, I'm really concerned about this one. And that NATOcast model says probabilities could even go higher than this. So there's definitely the likelihood of tornadoes tomorrow. Maybe even a couple strong tornadoes. And you see, there is a rather large 5% area and 2% area surrounding this. 30% wind chance with 15% and 5% surrounding it. And 15% hail risk on the backside of this risk area. So, yes, tomorrow is going to be an active day. Then as we head towards Tuesday, which is election day, as of right now, there are no severe weather threats. If a marginal risk area was to be added, it would probably be over Louisiana. At the moment, that does not exist. All right, taking a look at the Weather Prediction Center, over the next 1 through 7 days, there's also a flooding threat in the same area. And you can see here, that heavy rainfall risk does include Chicago, Green Bay, St. Louis, Oklahoma City. You get the idea here. There's going to be a large area of heavy rainfall, so that's something we're going to have to keep our eyes on. 3 to 5 inches rainfall anywhere you see in this orange color, and maybe even localized 5+ inches of rainfall. You also see there are going to be increased precipitation probabilities with anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of rainfall across portions of Washington, and maybe up to and over an inch across portions of Oregon, and maybe even an inch of precipitation up in portions of Idaho with higher amounts in the mountains. Now, this portion of the forecast down in Florida and the Gulf Coast, that gets a little bit tricky. Why? Because, well, you have that tropical disturbance that's going to be moving in there, and it's probably going to gain the name Raphael, and with that, that gets rather complicated, and wherever this tracks, that's going to be where the heavier rainfall is. But as that system moves into the Gulf, it could encounter cooler waters, and maybe even some wind shear. So that's something we'll have to keep our eyes on, and let's take a look at that system now. You can see here, little bit more in the way of clouds and maybe a little bit more convection. Today you can see here, there's trying to become a spin. So I think by, maybe not by tomorrow's video, but at some point tomorrow, I think we're going to have a designated tropical depression out of this system. And it is eventually going to track its way to the north and then to the northwest. Let's take a look at the tropical guidance for this. And here's the global hurricane models. Yes, we do now have hurricane model guidance because it was designated an invest. And you can see it's going to go northeast, then it's going to make that turn to the northwest. And the reason why it's going to make that turn is because out here in the Atlantic, there's an area of high pressure that's blocking it from exiting that way. So it gets forced to the southwest and forced back to the west, or I should say northwest. And with it being forced northwest, it will make its way into the Gulf of Mexico. But remember, we have this system that is over the United States. As that comes to the east, the wind shear is going to increase in the Gulf of Mexico, really limiting how much it can develop. But could it get to a hurricane? Well, there is some guidance. Here you can see on tropical plots that take it to a strong tropical storm, and a couple members do go hurricane. There's one that goes way up there, and it's just really on its own by doing that. But yes, it could get up to a hurricane, and I think if it does that, it may do it shortly before or just after Cuba. That's really when its best chance is for development, and I'll show you that here on the GFS. You can see the storm system, likely a depression by tomorrow, and as this continues, the GFS is showing it hitting Cuba as either a strong tropical storm or a weak Category 1. And you can see, as it heads into the Gulf, it gets into the 990. The pressure, it goes up a little bit. It weakens some over Cuba, and it tries to remain a strong tropical storm. There will be some impacts to the Keys. That's one area I am concerned about, the Florida Keys. And you can see, as it goes northwest in the Gulf, it really starts to weaken. But because of the moisture flow, there are going to be heavy rainfalls that occur over portions of Florida. And you can see that here as I advance this. And eventually it does make landfall around Louisiana. So somewhere between the Florida Panhandle and Louisiana, that's where we need to pay attention for this to make landfall. And let's take a look at the latest 12Z CMC, which just came in. And you can see that does take it down to a moderate to near strong tropical storm. This key, however, keeps it a little bit further to the east and slows it down near Florida before then going west some and eventually making landfall right near the Alabama-Mississippi coast, and it really just dissolves as it goes over land in the United States and eventually maybe providing some rainfall to the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. More on that in just a moment. Alright, let's take a look at the 12Z HER model for those severe thunderstorms across the central region. Let's time this out. We can see here, thunderstorms are already ongoing, and as we get into this afternoon, another round gets going over Oklahoma and portions of northeast and northern Texas. And take a look at this. You can see there are training aspects. This really gets going. Any of these individualized supercells could produce a tornado. So it's something that we are really concerned about. And as I continue to advance this, watch what happens tomorrow. You can see there will be some showers and storms in the morning, but things will really evolve in the afternoon in tomorrow's enhanced risk area. And yet again, there will be more severe thunderstorms. And then as we head towards Tuesday, you can see here, across Louisiana and southeast Texas, still some thunderstorm activity. So it wouldn't surprise me if a marginal risk area gets added there, but I don't think the risk will be as great as today or tomorrow. Now let's go to the national picture, and let's take a look at the forecast for Election Day. And I'll advance this to Tuesday. This is the NAM model, and you can see here, on Tuesday, the majority of the country is doing well. If you're up here in Wyoming or Montana, yes, there is going to be some mountain snows for you, some showers across portions of the Great Lakes from that front, whatever moisture is left of it. There'll be an area flow pressure up there, and maybe some showers in Florida in the afternoon as you start to see some of the influence in southern Florida from what at that point probably will be Raphael. And you can see the Pacific Northwest and the West Coast dry, and dry in the Northeast. Any precipitation in the Northeast will be very limited and will not come until Wednesday morning. Here's what's left of that front. You can see here, it just pretty much stalls over Kentucky. You do get some rainfall, but nothing major. And look at the end of the NAM. Yes, your eyes are not deceiving you. The plains, that is rain mixing with snow, and we'll be able to see that potentially on the GFS. You can see here on the GFS, here's that system that does impact portions of the plains today, and then it moves to the east somewhat before getting hung up over portions of Kentucky, Tennessee, the Ohio Valley. Not going to be a lot of moisture with this where the front does drag into the northeast, but watch what happens here. Here's that tropical system in the Gulf. Watch what happens over the central plains. You can see here, there is that rain, and eventually, maybe some mixing snow in western Nebraska. We'll have to keep our eyes on that. And this system does make its way to the northeast. You can see there is a warm front with this, which means warmer weather behind us, but maybe, just maybe, some precipitation to the northeast. And let's take a look at precipitation amounts there. We'll just do the 24-hour, and you can see here, maybe a quarter of an inch, localized a half an inch. I mean, multiple models are starting to show this. So it's something we have to keep our eyes on, and it's not going to do much for the drought, but hey, we'll take anything we can get here in the northeast. And looking at the Pacific Northwest, you can see you do have that next system that moves in later in the week, and that is going to provide more rainfall on the order of 1 to 2 locally higher amounts in the mountain. And you can see over portions of Florida, you do get 1 to 2 inches of rainfall from the influence of what likely will be Raphael. Let's take a look at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, and you can see here above normal temperatures in much of the east, with the highest axis of that being over western North Carolina, South Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia, portions of Alabama. Below average for much of the west coast, but slightly above average temperatures now across portions of Northern California and the coastal regions of Washington and Oregon. 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook is above average in the plains and really much of the country, below average in New England, and below average for northern portions of the plains. Then as we go to the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, well above average in the east, below average temperatures in the west. It's not going to feel like fall very much in the east, aside from just a couple days, and slightly above average precipitation in many locations. Again, I showed you that warm front that may sit up in the east. There may be a couple other smaller events that happen afterwards. Nothing that's really going to break the drought. Alrighty, folks, that does it for the Sunday weather update. We'll have another one again tomorrow. If you enjoyed this update, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe down below. Hit that notification bell. Share this video with anyone you know, and leave any comments you have down below. I'll see you all again next time. Until then, thanks for watching and have a fantastic Sunday afternoon.